So, following on from some TikTok comments, I'm going to talk about narcissism in both parents and relationships. And narcissism is a real difficult one, and there's lots of things about narcissism out there on the internet. But specifically, I want to talk to the victims of narcissistic abuse and effectively what then become the survivors and how that messes us up. So I'll start with if you were a child of a narcissistic parent. And one thing that's common with narcissists throughout is that push-pull thing they do. You know, they will kind of give you something and then push you away. Give you something and push you away. They sort of pull you in, push you away, pull you in, push you away. And you kind of never know where you're going. And you think everything's all right, and forget about the excuses and stuff like that. I'm talking about not what they do to you, how it affects you. And what's important to understand is that kind of pull you in, push you away scenario always leaves you unstable, on unsteady ground. You never quite know where you stand. And so you have steady ground, and then you feel let down, and then you have steady ground and then let down. And of course, anybody who's been around narcissists will know that it's never their fault. There's always a good reason. And if you suggest, confront, try and talk to them about it, it's you are always being unreasonable. Of course, but when you're a child, you don't have that insight. You don't have the insight to sort of say, oh, look, this isn't working, you're doing this, are you aware of your behaviour? So what you actually end up with is a parent who pushes you away, pulls you in, pushes you away and pulls you in. So as a child, you're never on stable ground. You never know. You grow up trying to figure out how relationships work. Is somebody actually always going to push you away and then pull you in? So you can have a kind of a subconscious anxiety towards everything. But the problem when you grow up with that is it's normal to you. So then when you end up in an abusive relationship or another narcissistic relationship, it seems normal. It's the only love and security you know. It's the only love and security your brain knows. So how are you supposed to deal with that? And this is what makes it so problematic, is you cannot reason with a narcissist. A narcissist is not by nature going to change. I suppose from their perspective, they're just being them and you're being unreasonable. And the reason we can have that insight is because if that wasn't true, a narcissist wouldn't do it in the first place. They just wouldn't do it. So, but how do you cope? Right. These are the things that we now need to start looking towards ourselves. And because it does, I'm a great believer in it, starts from within. And what you're looking for is when you find a moment that you've been triggered. So, sorry, I'm just going to pause a second. Don't try to figure out the past. It's not actually what's going to help you right now. So you're never going to fix a narcissist parent, so stop trying. That's the first thing. Above all else, you're just going to have to accept that's not going to change. Not ever. And you're going to have to learn how to move through those painful memories. But what you can do is when you find yourself in a situation where something triggers you or sparks that old emotion, that insecurity, is in that moment of awareness when you feel worthless and you feel afraid again, is you've got to stop what you're doing and you've got to kind of take a check, have a look at yourself and say, right, what's going on here and how and why? And you will go back to a place where there was a child. And when you get back to that place, what you're trying to do is get in touch with that inner child and have a chat with that inner child from your perspective today. And you want to have a conversation with yourself about why it's not their fault, but also what it did to you. The greatest way to heal is to explain that it's not your fault. but you have to also acknowledge how it made you feel, how it made you feel vulnerable, how it was unfair, how you had expectations from them because they were your parents or your partner, what they were supposed to do. You were my parents. You were supposed to make me feel loved. You were supposed to make me feel safe. You weren't supposed to criticize me like you did because I didn't meet some bullshit value system that belonged to you. You were supposed to notice me, not discard me and then pull me out whenever you wanted to show me off. You need to have a go at them about that responsibility. You have to have that dialogue with yourself. And you need to have that dialogue about how vulnerable it made you feel, how scared you were. And imagine that you are talking to yourself, but also talking to the child it happened to. And it's the same when you're in that relationship with somebody, or you've come out of that relationship with somebody, is you have to have a conversation with yourself. You have to be really honest about what you expected from them in the relationship. You expected to be loved. You expected to be appreciated. You expected to be supported. You expected the bloody truth. But actually, they were scum. They let you down. They didn't love you. They pulled you down. They discarded you. And that made you feel awful. That makes you feel really vulnerable. At times it makes you feel desperate and bloody scared. If you couldn't see through them, how do you protect yourself from it again? So you have to acknowledge that vulnerability, and you have to take care doing so. And you have to probably go through that process a couple of times. And then, unfortunately, the next step is you have to take care of yourself and learn to build up your self-esteem again. And it won't be easy. It isn't. The thing about narcissists is those that are affected by them the most are the ones that love them. And this is the thing, is narcissists have this weird radar where they just find you. Probably because everyone else is a narcissist and won't give them that time. Or people are smart to it and won't, no, I'm not doing that again. And when you've been pulled in by one, you probably are somebody who gives your heart and soul to somebody. You're a decent person. You love that person. And they treated you like a piece of shit. It's that simple. But it doesn't help the pain. It doesn't help heal the lesson. And it's one of those lessons and those moments of grief that you're going to go through, whether you like it or not. And it's just going to feel like shit for a long time, because narcissists are poisonous. They really are dark, almost demented creatures. And it's the nicest, the kindest of us that are affected by it the most. So once you start to understand what that person did and how they did it to you, how they manipulated you, you have to get to a point, which is really sad, but just it's accepting that you were never the problem. It was never about you, and there was never anything you could have done. And the only way to prevent that happening again is self-esteem. It's to learn about self-love. It's to pick yourself up and do your absolute best, one step at a time, one day at a time, to take good care of yourself and learn to love yourself. I hope that's helped. Please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, all the usual jazz. And if there's anything that anybody would like me to talk about, just leave a comment. And if you'd like daily updates, just click on one of the links below. Thank you for watching.